just when I adjust the board, just try to make sure the video is matching each other. So when you look at the Arabic language, there are 4 grammatical states a word can be in. Okay? A word can be in the state of rafa'. Okay? And this is the only case, the only situation in the Arabic language. Sisters can see this fine, inshallah. This is the only occasion in our studies that you must learn the terminology. Okay? Because this is critical, inshallah. When you study Quran, when you study Arabic Quran, you need to study, you need to know, recognize what's rafa', okay? What's nasb, what's jar, and what's jazm. Okay? So the first state that a word can be in is in the state of rafa'. The second state is nasb. The third state is jar. And the last state is jazm. But when it comes to the study of ism, which we're studying right now, only the first 3 states exist. So an ism can only be in the state of raf'un, or nasbun, or jarrun. There are only 3 grammatical states an ism can be in. There is also a 4th category called jazm. The jazm is only for verbs, present tense verbs. Okay? So why this is important is because we should understand there are 3 types of words in the Arabic language. What are they? What are the 3 types of words in the Arabic language? Ism, fi'l, and harf. Right? So of these 3 types of words, which of these words have grammatical state? That's important. Okay? So grammatical state for fi'l, so which words? So let's say fi'l, ism, fi'l, and harf. So it's easy. Harf has no grammatical state. No grammatical state. Any harf will not have a grammatical state. What is it called? It's called mabni. Mabni. And mabni means it stays, it looks the same always. The harakat never changes. It always stays the same. So what are some huruf that we know that we've already learned? Fi. Fi means in, right? Fi is a harf. Fi will always have ya with the sukoon on it. Always. Because it never takes, it's la muhalli lahu min al-i'rab. It does not have any i'rab. Any harf, you always say it does not, it's harf, mabni, because it does not have i'rab. Okay? So, harf, huruf, they have no i'rab, they have no grammatical state. Fi'l is a little bit more complicated. Fi'l, as you know, there's past tense and present tense. Positive for present tense. So present tense, fi'l have grammatical states, and negative for past tense. Okay? So if you have a fi'l, if it's present tense, it'll have a grammatical state. If it's past tense, it does not have a grammatical state. You say that this is fi'l mabniun li'annahu madi. This is fi'l that's mabni. It does not have a grammatical state because it's madi, because it's past tense. This stuff, inshallah, I'm putting it here for the sake of completion, but you'll understand it when you study fi'l, inshallah. Then last but not least is...
It belongs with it.
I'm sorry?
It belongs with it.
Ism? Yes, always. All ism have grammatical state. All have a grammatical state. So you have the 2 categories of ism, all have a grammatical state, harf have no grammatical state, and fi'l, if it's present, it has a grammatical state, if it's past, it does not have a grammatical state. For ism, however, there are certain asma, there are certain ism that they all have a grammatical state, like I said, but they will not show it. They will not show their grammatical state. They will not show the signs of their grammatical state. They will never change for various reasons. And you'll learn those as you go. So they're called mabni fi mahal. They're called mabni. They don't show the grammatical state, but they're in the state. They're in replacement of Okay? This is important. So these are the three categories of ism, grammatical state. Raf'un, nasbun, and jarrun. And then when you study present tense verbs, you'll learn jazm. And basically jazm is, you've seen these basic signs, the basic signs, there are a bunch of signs we'll learn inshallah. But the basic signs of them is what? This is dhamma, this is fatha, this is kasra, and this is sukoon. So now you're, oh, okay, when I see these things, these are the basic signs. But now we're going to study what are the signs of grammatical state. And when we study those, as you write this down, inshallah, I'll put them at the top of the list in the back, inshallah. What we studied up to this point. Are there any questions, by the way? Because I know I'm going, this may be a little fast. It seems like I'm sorry? There is no English. This is the point where you need to just know the terminology. It's a term, but you need to know the term. Okay? So if you have this done, you can take a 3-minute break, inshallah, 3 to 5 minutes. We'll start back at 10:10, inshallah. Muslim into a sound feminine plural. Muslimatun. All you do is add alif and ta at the end. It becomes a sound feminine plural. But broken plurals, they can break the letters that are initially in the singular word, can break either by missing letters or adding letters in between them. So the common example that we use is qalamun. So qalamun, what is the plural of qalamun? Aqlam. So qalamun means pen. Aqlamun, you add a hamza in the beginning of it, right? Aqlam, and they add an alif between the lam and the mim. So it's broken. You have new additions to the family. It's a broken family. And then also kitabun. What's the plural of kitabun? Kutubun. What happened there? The initial alif of kitab disappeared. So it's broken. It ran away. Kutubun. So the pattern was broken, and therefore it's a broken plural. So if you look at it, at the end of the day, you have 5 different types of words that you'll find in the Arabic language. 5 different types of ism when it comes to plurality. The first one is single. The second one is dual. The third one is broken plural. The fourth one is sound masculine plural, muslimuna, and sound feminine plural, muslimatun. If you recall, you can tell what a dual plural is. You can tell what a sound masculine plural is and sound feminine plural is, right? It's easy to recognize it. But it's hard to recognize a broken plural from a single word. Remember that when we get into this discussion, okay? So what I have here is something that I've adopted from one of my teachers and one of my dear friends, Sheikh Tariq from Chicago. And this is his method of teaching I'rab, and I loved it. And I saw him teach it this way. And he's like, oh, what we have here is Jamiat al-I'rab. We have I'rab University, right? I'rab University. And this is just our home terminology. We just created this, okay? So this is not like any official, like, yeah, I learned Jamiat al-I'rab the other day, right? So it's I'rab University. And the reason, so what we have here is we have this building, this university. And in the university, you have 3 kulliyah. You have 3 different faculties, right? You have the faculty of Rafa, right? The faculty of engineering, the faculty of medicine, the faculty of arts and science, or whatever, right? So think about it that way. So you have the faculty of Rafa, the faculty of Nasl, and the faculty of Jar. Okay? You have this young, naive ism, right? It's called kitab, right? You have an ism. The poor young kitab doesn't have its marks yet. Alright? You don't notice that there's no dhamma, there's no fatha, there's no kasra. So you take an ism, you put him through any one of these faculties, the faculty of rafa, the faculty of nasb, the faculty of jar, and then it comes out with a jar. It comes out with a jar. The faculty of raf has the jar of raf. The faculty of nasb has a jar of nasb. And the faculty of jar has the jar of jar. So they come out and now they can go and work in the field. But each one of them has a different function because they would have different training. And at the same time, you know which one went to the faculty of raf and which one went to the faculty of nasb and which one went to the faculty of jar. By what? By the sign at the end. So there are these lowly isms, young naive isms, they go through their college experience, alhamdulillah they come out with a job. And you know what their job is by the signs that come to them, or they get a degree. So they can carry around, their MD or whatever, and they can carry around their different credentials that show that they're in a certain position. So you have the sign that indicates that a word, that an ism, went through the faculty of rafa. What is it? We just studied it. Dhamma. So in this case it's tanween because it's nakira. Okay, does everyone know that? You can either this, if you put alif lam, it's a one dhamma. So dhamma. So the sign that ism went through the faculty of rafa and now functions as a marfu'. Marfu' is the term describing this ism. The state, the faculty, the training is called rafa. The person who went through that training is called marfu'. Terminology is important for us, okay? But you'll learn it in time. But I want you guys, when you're studying this, study the terminology. It's important. So, the kitab, he goes through rafa and he becomes kitabun. What happens if he goes through the kulliyah of nasb? What's the sign that indicates that this is nasb or mansub? Fatha. And then anytime you have tanween and fatha at the end, you add an alif at the end, okay? And you pronounce it kitaba at the end of the word. But that's just for script, okay? And pronunciation. So like if you look in the Quran, whenever you have tanween fatha, you always add, it doesn't end with kitaban, it ends with kitaba, okay? But I just did that so you know that, okay? But the point is you have the fatha. I'm going to remove this alif right now so you don't get confused. Fatha. What's the sign that a state went into the state of jar? Kasr. Kitab. What type of word is this? Single, dual, plural, sound masculine, plural, broken plural? What kind of word is this? Kitab. Single, right? So what I have here, the S indicates single. So anytime you put a single word, single ism through this kulliyah, it'll have these signs. These are the signs of single asma. Dhamma, fatha, and kasra. What we're going to do now is go through each one of these types of ism and identify what are the signs that indicate a word is a particular grammatical state. Does this make sense to everyone what we're doing here? So go ahead and write this, and then underneath it, make another one. It's going to be a dual word, and we're going to find out what the dual signs are, and then we're going to find out what the broken plural signs are, and we're going to find out what the sound masculine plural signs are, and what the sound feminine plural signs are. So how do you know that a dual word, a dual ism, is in the state of rafa? It's actually as you know it. Kitabani is actually the sign. So kitab, we have kitab, kitab. This is actually the sign. Alif is the sign that indicates it's in the state of rafa. Kitabani. Kitabani. The alif is the sign. This identifies that the dual is rafa. How do you know that it is in the state of nasab? Kitabani. The room doesn't change.
The Rafa should not be Rab because it is always Dhamma.
So let me explain that. Kitabani. And you know what? The good thing about this, or the hard thing about it, is that the sign for jar is the same for the sign for nasab. So the only way you can tell the difference between these in a sentence is by its function and recognizing its function. And it's actually very easy. Okay. So the same sign. Is the ya. Okay? So the brother asked, shouldn't it be kitabanun? The point I'm trying to tell you here,
Dual is always having this kasra.
it'll always have a kasra, right? Because the sign of its grammatical state is not the dhamma, the kasra of the fatha. The sign of its grammatical state is the alif, the ya, and the ya. Okay? The sign that you're talking about, shouldn't it be dhamma, shouldn't it be fatha, shouldn't it be kasra? That's only for single. See that? So kitabun, kitaban, kitabin. But now we're talking about dual ism. So how do you tell that a dual ism is marfu'un? Kitabani. How do you tell that it is a mansubun? Kitabaini. If you have a ya, it's mansub. Or it is majrur. Because it's the same. They have the same sign, unfortunately. But you know, it's easy because there are only two reasons why a word will be majrur. If you know that it's not majrur, you can tell it's mansub. And I'll explain that in a moment. Okay? Right now, just recognize the signs that indicate a word is a particular grammatical state. So kitabani, kitabaini, kitabaini. Does that make sense? So we're talking about dual asma, or two words, or two asma. Isman. So if you put a kitab, if you put a dual ism into this grammatical state, it takes on these three different signs to indicate whether it is marfu'un, mansubun, or majrur. Any questions? Have I lost anyone so far? Please speak up, inshallah. Don't be shy. This is critical. Okay? So now what's the next category of isms? Broken plural. Remember I told you before that it's hard to tell the difference between a broken plural and a single? Remember I mentioned that and we saw that last week or last time? That it's hard to tell qalamun from aqlamun. How do you know that something is a plural and something is a single? If it's broken, it doesn't have una or adun or ani. It doesn't have these patterns. So it's hard to tell if something is a single word or something is a broken plural, unless you've experienced it before. The reason why that's important is because when it comes to i'rab, there's no way of telling either. It has the same signs as a single word. So when it comes to broken plurals, for example, broken. Broken. Al. Such as what? Kutub. Kutubun. Kutubun. Kutub. Right? So this is a broken plural of kitab. Kitab. You put it to any of these kulliyat or faculties, and they take on different signs that indicate that they're marfu', that they're functioning, they're that type of worker. And the signs for broken plural are the same as single. So it's kutubun, kutuban, kutubin. All this is summarized, by the way, if you're getting lost. This methodology I'm teaching, though, is not in the book, but these are summarized on page 52. There's a good chart there, there's a good table there to know all the different signs. So you have raf, nasab, and jar. You have single, dual, sound plural, and sound feminine plural. And I put single and broken plural in the same category. If you notice it on the top, it's the same thing because they have the same signs. Okay, so kitabin, or it's kutubin, kitaban, and kitaban. Okay? So that's all there for you. But this is good for you to learn this method so you can teach it to others, inshallah. And you understand the concept. That you have a word, it goes through the training of a particular grammatical state, and it becomes that worker. It works and functions as this grammatical state in the sentence. And how do I recognize that it's doing that? By its signs. So the signs are there in 52, but this is important to understand the concept of the Arab. So broken plurals and singles are the same. So I'll let you guys write this down. We can take another 5-minute break, inshallah, and we'll finish with sound and plural and feminine plural. Masculine and feminine plural. And feel free to ask any questions. Muslim. Muslimun, for lack of clarity, I mean there's no without sign, so I just put Muslimun. But the sign that indicates that it's rafa or marfu'an is Muslimuna, that ooh, that wow. So what indicates that a word is marfu'an, a sound masculine plural is marfu'an? It is the wow, the letter wow, the letter wow. What indicates that a word is mansubun? The letter ya, and the same thing for majrur. And the reason why this is possible, again, is because majrur, there are only two situations where a word would be majrur. And they're very obvious. And if they're not there, it's mansub. So muslimuna, muslimina, muslimina. And of course the kasra is here for pronunciation. Okay? But the actual sign is the letter. The actual sign is the letter. Okay? Muslimuna, muslimina, muslimina. These are the signs that indicate its grammatical state. So whenever you see Muslimina in the Quran, Mu'minina in the Quran, Hafidhina in the Quran, Ta'ibin, Ta'ibat, we'll talk about Ta'ibat in a second, all these different things, you're like, oh, because it must be mansub or majrur. So, okay, what is it functioning in a sentence? We'll talk about the steps of understanding Arab in a moment. Today, what we're going to do is cover basically the concept, give you a week to absorb it, take it all in, and next week we'll just do all practice. So today may be a little heavy, but I did that on purpose. So just practice, practice, and practice. Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. And there's one category left and we're done, alhamdulillah, with the signs. Every single possible ism in the Arabic language, we know how to identify its grammatical status. You will not study that in this way anywhere else. In a 2-hour class, you've studied every single sign. That's why it's heavy, because people want to. When we studied it in Egypt, even, you study just Dhamma, Kasra, Fatha. So don't ask questions. Move on. This, inshallah, will give you a bang for your buck, inshallah. And it will take time to practice it going forward. Go ahead. It's not a sign, that's why I said it's actually just there for pronunciation, but the sign is the letter. The letter is the sign. Everyone has this down? And our last one. This is sound male plural. This is sound male plural. Sound M, which is male, plural. So you know that it's male, you know that it's plural. So Muslimun, you know that it's male Muslim. Muslimat, female Muslim.
It's the same as the one before, right? Muslimuna and Muslimuna, that's it.
Yep. And that's why I'm just saying for this purposes, because there's no other way of writing it, just ignore this part, but just understand that once it's in sound, plural, it's Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. And you write things in its default status, which is number 4. Okay? So don't worry about this part, it's just for the purpose of writing. Worry about that part. Because it's going to be in either any one of these 3 forms. It won't ever be without it. Okay? Alright, last but not least, of course, that. And this applies to any sound masculine plural, any sound feminine plural, any single word, any dual, any broken plural. The same signs. So Muslimat. Muslimatun. Muslimatin. Muslimatin. Those are the signs. And remember, anytime you put alif lam in the front, it turns it into a light, turns it into Muslimatu, Muslimati, Muslimati. Let me show you something.
So Jimmy is on the basically with the lesson that was here.
Is it you guys have heard this times in the Quran? A million times. Many times. Allah khalaqa as-samawati wal arda. Why is this samawati and this is arda? Translation is Allah created the heavens, the sky, and the earth. Wal arda. Allah is the subject, right? Khalaqa is the verb. Samawati is the object of the verb. How do we know? Because you'll learn this in a second. That one of the functions of mansoob is it functions as the object of verbs in verbal sentences. And so how do we know that it's mansoob? Samawati. Right? Because it can either be majroor or it can be mansoob. Because it has the same sign. Wal arda. Because this is the second object of the verb. And you know that this is mansoob. How do you know that it's mansoob? Fatha. Why? Because this is a single word. Ard means earth. Single word. So you say single word. What are the signs? What is the fatha for a single word? Fatha is mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Khalaqa. We'll talk about the methodology in a second. But I want to show you that Allah khalaqa as-samawati wal arda. The reason why you have the T and the dot is because of the signs of the grammatical state is different for the sound feminine plural, for the single male. But this is just identifying. So now, what we have here are every single ism in the Arabic language, you know its signs. You know its sign of its grammatical state. So the next question is, what is the methodology when you look at a word in the Quran or in the book? You want to recognize what is it, what is it doing? What's the methodology of understanding its i'rab? The first method, the first process, the first part of the method is what? You have to identify what it is. Right? Is it ism, fi'l, or harf? Identify type of word. Type of word. Right? Ism, fi'l, harf. Okay, now you know it's ism, fi'l, or harf. The next question is, does it have i'rab? Have a grammatical state? If it's harf, no grammatical state. If it's a past tense fi'l, no grammatical state. If it's a present tense fi'l, we haven't learned that yet. Yes, it does have a grammatical state. Don't worry about it. If it's ism, yes, it has a grammatical state. So does it have a grammatical state? Because if it doesn't have a grammatical state, the rest of the questions don't matter. But now you say it's an ism. Okay, it's an ism. We all study isms right now. It has a grammatical state. So the next question is, what is its grammatical state? So what grammatical state is it in? You have to analyze that. So the next two steps are actually all processed together. So usually when I'm asking you, I say, what is the grammatical state of this word? And you guys will give me an answer. And I'll say, what's my next question? How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that it's in the state of marfu', or the state of rafa', or the state of nasb, or the state of jar? And you'll say, it's because I recognize that it is a single masculine ism. And I recognize that it has a grammatical state, and it has a dhamma on it. And so therefore it is marfu'an. Okay? The last question, and this is the question that is a cause for reflection when we study the Quran, is why is it in that grammatical state? Why is it in that grammatical state? Because as I told you, when a word, an ism, goes through a faculty of rafa' or nasb or jar, it comes out as marfu'un, mansubun, majrurun. It comes out with a function, with a job. It went through its training, now it's going to fulfill the job of marfu', the job of mansub, the job of majrur. So what are the various jobs ism can play in a sentence. Those various jobs is what's going to be studied as we begin the study of compounds and sentences. And those list of jobs are found on page 51, an entire list. There are 22 jobs of an ism in the Arabic language. 22 particular jobs. 8 of those jobs are for marfu'. So a marfu' word is fulfilling 8 of 22 jobs. So if you see, okay, you find out that it's ism. You find that it's single male. You find out that it does have a grammatical state because it is ism. You find out what it is. You say that it is marfu'un. Why? How do you know that? Because it has a dhamma on it. Okay? Now you ask, why is it marfu'un? And there are only 8 possibilities. And you'll study those 8 as you study sentences. Now you say, okay, it is it is an ism, muslimat, muslimatin. It's an ism. Does it have a grammatical state? Yes, because it is an ism. What grammatical state it is? Muslimatin can either be nasab or it can be jar. It can be mansub or majrur. Because they have the same sign. Remember, muslimatin, muslimatin. So you say, okay, it is either mansub or it's majrur. How do we know that? Because it has the kasra at the end of the ta. And so now the question is, how do we identify between mansub and majrur? Well, it goes back to why. Because there are only 2 reasons, if you look at your chart on page 51, there are only 2 reasons why an ism takes majrur. It's either because it's the possessor, kitabullahi, Allahi, Allah is the one who possesses the kitab. Or it follows harf jar. It follows a harf that turns the ism into jar. So fil masjidi. You already know, you've already experienced 2 reasons why a word is in jar. And if it's not in those 2 reasons, it's mansub. So why is the next question? Because why is going to determine the meaning of the sentence. And that's going to come with time. That's what we're going to do. And you can always refer back to 51 to say, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this is the most critical part of Nahu, is understanding the why. You've already studied the first half. You've studied, 50% of the work. Alhamdulillah, you can identify what it is. Now the next part, this is what leads to fiqh discussions. This is what leads to differences in opinion. If you look at the ayah, and one day we'll do this, inshallah. If you look at the ayah of wudu in the Quran, you want to know why something is, why you wipe the foot as opposed to just wash the foot. Why do you do this as opposed to do this? It's because of the differences in i'rab. And the differences in i'rab lead to going back to different verbs, going back to different expressions and compounds. And so the ulama, they need to be masters of Arabic language in order to make fiqh rulings. And we'll demonstrate that in due time. So with this, inshallah, I'll write this down. And I want us to grab, if we have Qur'ans, if you go to Surah Al-Furqan, I want to show you guys something that's beautiful about the Quran. It's throughout the Quran, but Furqan really is striking. So go ahead and write this down. And grab the Quran if you have a chance. It's the 25th chapter of the Quran. 25th Surah Al-Furqan. 25. Any hufaz amongst us? Or anyone would like to volunteer to recite? Go ahead. And we'll wait till everyone gets to their spot, inshallah. We'll start from the beginning, all the verses. From the beginning, page chapter 25. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شيء فقدره تقديرا واتخذوا من دونه آلهة لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يملكون لأنفسهم ضرا ولا نفعا ولا يملكون موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا وقال الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا إفك افتراه وأعاناه عليه قوم آخرون فقد جاءوا نذورا.
You guys have probably already seen this, but I want you guys, for the rest of the page, inshallah, look at the endings of the ayah. And think about it. Continue.
وقالوا أساطير الأولين كتبها فهي تملى عليه بكرة وأصيلا قل أنزله الذي يعلم السر في السماوات والأرض إنه كان غفورا رحيما وقالوا ما لهذا الرسول يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق لولا أنزل إليه ملك فيكون معه نذيرا أو يلقى إليه كنز أو تكون له جنة يأكل منها وقال الظالمون إن تتبعون إلا رجلا مسحورا انظر كيف ضربوا لك الأمثال فضلوا فلا يستطيعون سبيلا.
So let's look at the ending of the ayat, inshallah. The first ayah, the ending is nadhira, then taqdira, then nushura, then asila, rahima, nadhira, mashura, sabila, qusura, sa'ira. The way the Quran rhymes, the way it allows itself to rhyme is to match in all of these characteristics. In order for it, for what grammatical state are these words in? Every single one of them. Every single one of them are in the state of mansub. And every single one of these words are nakira. And every single one of these words are single. So the Quran, not only, and this is just a demonstration of this, and you have to take the time, inshallah, when you go home and you recite the Quran, think about this. The Quran in Surah Al-Furqan, and one day I was teaching an Arabic course, and the Imam was reciting Surah Al-Furqan in the Salah, and then it just kind of hit me. I was like, wow, subhanAllah, I never thought about this before. I'm sitting here teaching grammatical state, and I'm like, wow, subhanAllah, it's so beautiful. And when you really recite it and you think about it, subhanAllah, it's like the Quran, there's a reason why the Quran is a miracle. Okay? It's not just a piece of poem, but it's a poem that is able, its ability to rhyme, but also match in all characteristics of the word, but at the same time make sense and have a message, have a story, have law. All these things are intertwined into one set of ayat, or one set of collection of ayat. And so when you think about it, you're like, subhanAllah, there is something amazing about this book. And inshallah, I pray that this was a demonstration of after what you've gone through for the last couple of months, you're able to appreciate now, inshallah. And inshallah, when you listen to Quran in Salat al-Tarawih or any of these occasions, that when you go and you hear, like, why is it Muslimun, not Muslimin? And why is it always ending in een, una, or an? Because it has to fulfill certain characteristics to do that. And it has to match in its definiteness and its singularity and in its grammatical state in order to do that. And that's something that requires a tremendous amount of talent, for lack of a better word. And this is something that is inimitable. This is something, if you think about it, if you look at poetry, right? If you listen to like rap music or like, poetry nowadays, it always has some sort of theme like, love or other different things, or my life, etc., blah, blah, blah. But this is something that brings law, and it brings social science, and it brings political science, and it brings, spirituality, all one. At the same time, it rhymes and it brings this magic and all these different powerful usages of the language. So these are some things, inshallah, that I pray with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're able to appreciate when we recite the Quran moving forward in Allah ta'ala. So like I said, inshallah, when you recite, when you're in Salat al-Taraweeh, etc., that you do not, reflect as if singing to Allah, but you appreciate Sa'ira, Nadira, Kafura, etc. You're like, wow, there's something going on here. This is all mansoob. Yeah, you can think about it, you're like, wow, they're all having a certain function in the Quran. And there's only 12 different ways that a word can be mansoob. So there are 12 different ways Allah Ta'ala needs to end the ayah in order to match in its grammatical status, and in its sound, and in its meaning. These things, like, you start to appreciate the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Are there any questions? Inshallah, we'll take a break. And then we can cover some exercises, inshallah. So we'll take a 5-minute break, inshallah, and we'll go through some exercises. So I lied, we're actually going to do some exercises. Because they have special rules. Remember I told you that every ism is in the state, has a grammatical state. However, there are some ism that do not show that grammatical state for various reasons. And they're called mabni fi mahal. So they're called mabni, meaning they don't change their signs. They're in a grammatical state, but they don't match these rules that we've studied. Okay? So there are certain special asma that don't match these rules. And you'll learn them in due time. A few of them that are here, asma al-khamsa. Asma al-khamsa are 5 special asma. Like abun and akhun and dhun. These are words that have special signs themselves. Okay? Words that end with a ya, al-qadi, and the letter before it has a kasra. Like al-qadi. Al-qadi is a judge, right? So al-qadi, this ya always has a sukoon. So it's called al-qadi. This is, so even it's always al-qadi. No matter if it's mansooban, marfu', or majruran, it'll always be al-qadi. But there's a reason for it. So you say هذا اسم مرفوع or هذا اسم مبني على السكون في محل رفع. This is a ism that is always going to have a sukoon, but it is in the state of rafa. And then etc. And the reason why it's in that state, the reason why is because certain rules of pronunciation. Okay? The same thing if you have alif mahzur and alif before it, like yusra, inna ma'al usri yusra. Yusra will always look like yusra. No matter if it's marfu' or mansur or majrur. It's an ism, has a grammatical state, but it doesn't show the signs because of pronunciation purposes. And then another special rule we need to know is mamnu' min as-sarf. There are certain words in certain asma in the Arabic language that do not have tanween and do never take kasra. So they have their own unique signs for grammatical state. And then there's ad-dama'ir. Dama'ir, remember pronouns? We said pronouns are a separate entity in the English language, but in the Arabic language, pronouns are considered ism. So he, she, they, him, them, all these are pronouns in the Arabic language. Huwa, hum, hiya, hum, etc. All these words they are in this particular grammatical state, but they always show the same sign. They never change in their sign. It's called mabni fi mahal. And you're going to study these as we go. And then ism al-mawsul, ism al-ishara. So ism al-ishara is like hada, hadihi, this, that, those. And then ism al-mawsul is the ones who do this. Alladhi, alladhi. All these things are ism al-mawsul. They have their own unique rules. So I just want to draw your attention that there are certain asma that have unique rules. So when you encounter them, you would understand why. You don't go into like information overload. But you'll study these rules in time. Don't worry, these are the exceptions to the rule. The rule is this, and the overwhelming majority, 80% of asma will follow these rules. So just be aware of that. So we're going to go over some exercises together as a class for the next 15 minutes, inshallah. And then you can do exercises going home, inshallah. So the first exercise is baytun. So indicate whether the underlined word is in the state of rafa, nasb, or jar. Keep in mind that some states are indicated by letters, while others are indicated by special markings. Remember, some are letters, some are special markings. Page 53. So, the first word is baytun. Is it rafa, nasab, or jar? Or is it marfu'un, mansubun, or majrurun? Okay, so we're going to go one person at a time, inshallah. So we'll start with in front of us. Just say your name so I can try to remember people's names. Sa'ad, okay. Excellent. So, what are the steps? Remember, we said this is an ism. Obviously, all these are going to be ism. Does it take a grammatical state? Yes, it takes a grammatical state. So I want you guys to go through this loudly in your out loud. What grammatical state is it in? It is marfu'un, or in the state of raf. How do we know that it's in that grammatical state? It has a dhamma. Why is it in the grammatical state? We're not going to answer that now. Okay? So next. So remember the 5 steps. What type of word is it? Ism, fi'l, harf. All of these are ism. So it's ism. Does it take a grammatical state? Yes, because all asma take a grammatical state. Then the next question is, what is the grammatical state? The next question is, how do you know it's in that grammatical state? What are the signs? It's called alamat. Alamat. What are the signs that indicate that it is in that particular grammatical state? And then last, why is it in the grammatical state? But we're not going to answer that today. So next one, inshallah, so you can go through the process.
What is the grammatical state?
So baytun, the grammatical state is marfu'un. How do we know that it's marfu'un? Anyone want to answer it? The dhamma. Because it's a single word, and the single word with the dhamma indicates that it's marfu'un. Does that make sense? So inshallah we'll practice these, and then hopefully it'll make sense as we get time. And then we want to exhaust all our time with questions. Go ahead. So what's the first word? What type of word is it? As-samawati is the underlined word. So I want you guys to cover the English part first. Cover the English. I don't want to give you any hints. It's there as training wheels. I'm sorry? Samawati is heavens. So everyone cover their English part, inshallah, because we don't want to worry about that right now. Okay, that's for your own purposes when you go home. So as-samawati, is it ism, fi'l, or harf? Ism. Okay, good. So we know that isms. The next question is, does it take a grammatical state? Yes. So what is the grammatical state? Go ahead, give it. No, just him. Everyone else, keep it in their mind. Everyone, keep it in their mind. As-samawati. So the next question is, what type of ism is it? Is it single, dual, broken plural, sound masculine plural, or sound feminine plural? Samawati. What kind of plural is it? Remember, the only plural that has ati at the end is a sound feminine plural. So what are the signs for a sound feminine plural? Marfu'un is samawatu, mansubun is samawati, and majrurun is samawati. So we have to ask, is it majrurun or is it mansubun? How do you know that? Yeah, but it can also be mansub. So the next, for these ones, there's the next step, and the next step is it majrur? You have to rule out if it's majrur, because there's only 2 reasons why it's majrur. So what comes before samawati? Ila. Ila, you don't know this yet, but you're learning it as you go. The ila is from huruf al-jar. They turn the word after it into the state of jar. That's why they call it huruf al-jar. So it has to be in the state of jar. A little bit more complicated because of that extra step. So what is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What came before it is khalaqa. Khalaqa is the verb, and the object of a verb is mansub. And we don't have the signs of jar here, or the reasons for jar. So nasab is the grammatical state. Mansub is the description of the word that's in that grammatical state. So you say that this word is mansub. Or you can say this word is in the state of nasab. Does that make sense? So, sorry, خلق السماوات is منصوب. How do you know that it's منصوب? Because it has a kasra at the end, and it is because it is a sound feminine plural, and it does not have the reasons for jar. And more specifically, because it is an object of the verb خلق. But you guys don't need to know the why. Remember, you don't need to know the why. Okay, number 3. Excellent. So it's majroor. How do you know that it's majroor? It has a kasra because it is a sound feminine plural, and it has the harf jar before it. Okay? That's the reason why it's majroor. All right, number 4. Excellent. So everyone see how he did that? And I want you guys to speak it out loud so everyone can hear it and everyone can go through the process with you. So this is ism, singular, has a fatha on it, therefore it must be mansub. Say the word first. None of these words are in sentences, so they don't even have their, unless you need to identify it. For example, samawati, samawati, I didn't put them in a sentence, so you should be able to identify just by the sign, unless you need extra hints in the context. Okay? Excellent. Brother? Yes. See, he made a mistake. He thinks it's majroor because of the kasra, but actually it's a dual, so duals have their own special signs. Remember what they were? I'm sorry? Yeah, always will have a kasra, so that's not the sign. It's the alif, mashallah. So khafifatani, the alif before the noon is the sign of what? Marfu, of rafa. That is marfu. Excellent. The next brother, say your name please. Allahu yuhibbun. Now, so al-muttaqeen. What type of word is it? Ism fi'l or harf? Excellent. Single, dual, broken plural, sound masculine plural, or sound feminine plural? You're right, it is plural. Sound feminine plural has the sign of atun, muslimatun, ta'ibatun. This is actually with the noon at the end, with the fatha at the end. That's a sign of what? Of sound masculine plural. So, now that we know that it's sound masculine plural, what is its grammatical state? You let him do it. He's excited. We're gonna get to you, you better get it right. What is, I'm sorry. Why is it mansub? What is the sign that indicates that it's mansub? You're close, but that's a mistake because it's a special sign because it's a sound masculine plural. See, the fatha, kasra, and dhamma is only for singles and broken plurals. So this is a sound masculine plural. So the signs of sound masculine plural is muslimuna, muslimina, muslimina. This is muttaquna, muttaqina, muttaqina. So this is muttaqin. So it has to be either mansubun or majrurun. Anyone want to say why it is one or the other? Why is it mansub? It is the object of the verb. Okay? So this is a little bit more tricky when it comes to these special ones because we haven't learned the reason why yet. We haven't learned objects of verbs, we haven't learned huruf jar, but I'm explaining to you as we go. So inshallah you'll see the patterns. If you get them wrong, that's perfectly acceptable at this stage. Because I just put you guys probably like 6 months of Arabic studies in one day. So if you guys get it wrong, don't be ashamed. Okay? That's why I want you guys to get a week to to suck it in and to understand and ask questions. Okay? So if you get it wrong right now, that is perfectly acceptable. Okay? So muttaqeen. Okay, excellent. Next one, inshallah. So muttaqeen is mansoob. How do we know that it's mansoob? Because it has a ya, muttaqeen. Because it's sound masculine plural. Go ahead, Hassan. Anyone agree or disagree? How do we know that it's a sound masculine plural versus a dual? Right, a dual. Okay, excellent. How do we tell the difference? Because before the sound masculine plural, it's a kasra. Before the dual, it's a fatha. So in this case, it is shahadataini. Okay, not shahadatini. Tina. Shahadataini, not tina. Okay, go ahead. So this is a dual. Mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Because for duals, the shahadataini could be either mansoob or majrur. So the way we know is by the context. And the context in this case is what? Because it has qala before it. So qala shahadataini is the object of the verb. Okay? Excellent. Next, inshallah. Abi kharaja min al-bayt.
Bayt is single.
Excellent. Singular ism.
Also because there's min before it, so it would be majrur.
Okay, excellent. But I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to say this is majrur because it's a kasra alif. And the reason why it's majrur is because there is a min before it. The only reason why you need to do that in order to identify its grammatical state is if it's dual or if it's sound masculine or sound feminine plural. Because those ones, the mansoob and the majrur are the same. Those are the only times we need to look at the context to know its grammatical state. However, I want you to say that it's in this grammatical state because it has a kasra on it. And the reason why it is in that grammatical state is because it follows harf jar. Okay. So al-bayti is kasra, it is majrurun. And the sign that indicates that it's majrur is the kasra. Okay, next inshallah. Adaban alima. Single. Ism. Excellent. It's mansoob. Why is it mansoob? Or how do you know that it's mansoob? It has a fatha on it. Okay? Excellent. Next. يوم القيامة. القيامة is single, dual, plural. Single, excellent. So now what grammatical state is it in? Sorry? Majrur, excellent. Why? How do you know that it's in the state of majrur? What's the sign that indicates it's majrur? Kasra, mashallah, excellent. So everyone get that? It's majrur because it's a single ism. It's majrur, and you know that it's majrur because of the kasra. Okay, excellent. Go ahead. Fi nari jahannama. Let's skip this one. This is one of the exceptions. Skip it. يوم تقوم الساعة. الساعة. ساعة is ism. That's broken plural. Does anyone agree with it? Or disagree with it? It is mansoob. Why do you say it's mansoob? Marfu', excellent. Why is it? How do you know that's marfu'? Because of the dhamma. This is actually a single feminine. And it doesn't matter if it's feminine or masculine, the sign is the same. But we know that it's feminine because of the ta marbuta. So as-sa'atu, it is single ism, marfu'un, wa alamatu raf'ihi al-dhammatu al-zahira. And the sign that indicates that it is rafa is that it has a dhamma that is apparent. Okay? Excellent. عاقبة المسلمين. Now, it's your turn. No. Wrong. Is everyone want to correct them?
Yeah, it is much more.
Because what are the signs of sound? Plural, masculine plural. The Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. So it is aqibatul Muslimina. So it either needs to be mansub or majrur. So we know that it's majrur because of the context. Because aqibatul Muslimin, it is the possessor of aqiba. Alright? So you have to look at the context for this. But very close up to that. You get 2 out of 3, myself. Next.
أنا عايشة. This is this.
Okay, skip this one. It's another exception. These are called mamnu' min as-sarf. I don't know why we put it there. Next.
وبالآخرة هم يوقنون.
وبالآخرة هم يوقنون. بالآخرة. الآخرة.
This is
اسم.
single.
Single.
مجرور.
مجرور. Why is it majrur?
Because
How do you know that it's majrur?
that's the job.
No. How do you know that it's majrur? What's the sign?
That's
Kasra. And why? Because of harf jar. Okay, next one.
أجلا مسمى
أجلا مسمى.
مسمى اسم النكرة تنوين and this is because there's a tanween or there's a fatah,
Yes.
that's why and
So fatha for a single word, what does it state?
it's a singular but
So what is the grammatical state? Fatha, there's only one sign for this grammatical state.
it's
Mansub. Excellent, mashallah. So ajalan, it's a single word, has a fatha on it, so it's mansub. Excellent. Next. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى اللَّيْلِ.
Simple
It is a single ism,
and it's definite,
definite.
and the sign of majhul is the kasra.
It is majroor, and how do we know that it's majroor?
Kasra.
Kasra, mashallah. And the reason why it's majroor is because it follows wa. This is called harf al-qasr, harf al-swearing. So anytime you have wallahi, right, it's wallahi, because it turns the word after it into majroor. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. Next. The next question we have is 3 more sisters, inshallah. We have the brother here. So the next exercise is some of the nouns in the following sentence may be wrong in the following ways. Gender, number, or they've been left without an ending. So you need to give, the English sentence gives you hints as to what its meaning is. So you need to identify what words are missing these things and how to correct them. So, khalaqa, Allah, al-ard. So, what words are either incomplete or incorrect? So is khalaqa incomplete or incorrect?
correct.
So it's correct, right? So Allah, is there something missing here? Or is it incorrect? Yes, what is missing? Allahu, right? So it's missing Allahu. We know that it's Dhamma because of its function. It's the fa'il, it's the one that does the function. So it's a little bit more complicated. Al-Ard, is it missing anything? The Fatha, excellent. The state of Nasab, because it's the object of the verb. If there's anything you've learned today in terms of why something makes a grammatical state, it's because either it's the object of the verb or it follows a harf of jar.